Good morning. My name's Nick, Otto the Garden Cat. Somewhere around here you'll see him throughout the day. My co-star, and this is the Seattle Permaculture vlog. Today we are prepping for a tropical storm. It's coming right at us. It's actually going to end up being passing a little bit south of us, but that's actually going to cause most of the winds and rain, which are to the northeast of the storm, to actually impact Puerto Rico pretty severely. So they're calling for between 4 and 10 inches of rain right where we are here. Just for reference, 10 inches of rain would fill both the inside of this rain gauge and the entire outside of this rain gauge. So a lot of rain. That's what they're calling for. And we'll see if we actually get it or not. But basically in preparation, I'm going to be kind of battening down the hatches. I'm going to take down, the shade cloth from here, anything that could fly around with lots of wind. And just do a couple other things that needs to be done before the storm gets here. So let's get started and we'll see where we get to. Already checked on the rain gauge. It is empty, no rain in there. Otto, here's Otto, my co-star right down there, sitting on the top of the kiddie pool there. I actually think I'm going to turn that over for the storm and collect the water in case we do lose water. It'll probably be a lot of water that we can collect right there, then we just have a little extra. Lizard on the chicken coop area. Mama? There's Mama in there, not so happy that I opened up her thing. I did get a new bag of feed, so thank you to you guys for letting me leave that in the video the other day. Just in the video, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I was reminding myself to get feed during the vlog in the video. Just like, hey Nick, reminder to yourself, because that's a good way for me to remember. So I have to watch all this footage, so it's a really easy way for me to remind myself to do something. Just like that, another bag done. Luckily I have another one to replace it. Chickie chickie! Come here, Mama. Lots of lizards out today showing off for us. Ooh. Hey, bud. Do little push-ups. I'm going to show you your little neck, your neck pouch. Not completely sure about what we are. Alright, so in here, I already have a chicken shelter. I built a chicken shelter. If you didn't see that video, I'll leave it linked above here. It was released yesterday. So I do have a chicken shelter area ready for the chickens. In the case that we get pretty much with all this rain, they probably should be fine just in the pen here, but I'm probably going to put them down there anyway just to keep them nice and dry and safe for the storm. So they're going to end up going down there later today. And but other than that, in this pen here, I'm just going to kind of remove the shade and the tarp here just to make sure it doesn't like blow all over the place. It'll probably end up getting ripped up and destroyed. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, so the sunshade up here, I'll probably just end up tying to the top of the coop here at some point. I just left it draped over the top for now. Basically right now what I'm doing is kind of like the initial prep, all the stuff that just needs to get done. And then later on today, I'm gonna go do all the final prep, batten everything down, etc. So just so when I have a little bit more information about exactly what the storm's gonna do, so I know how much I actually need to prepare. It doesn't look like we're gonna get much winds, but it's possible it's gonna develop today into a little bit stronger of a wind storm. So we're just kind of waiting. Since I do have finished compost down here, all this down here pretty much is finished, kind of beneath all in here, this mound down here. All this is finished compost, so I don't really want to lose that with all the wetness that we're about to get. So I'll probably end up doing is a little bit later, I'll repile a lot of it, and then I'll just throw this tarp over it, and then weigh down this tarp. So the tarp will protect most of the compost from kind of getting super soggy and saturated, and therefore probably going anaerobic and more or less killing any of the good guy organisms I want to have in there. So that's the plan. We'll see how that goes. I'm just going to leave this tarp right here waiting for me for later when I do that. Here's Otto. Otto, you going right through the garden almost. He's gonna jump up, probably, to that can. Good boy. It's rocky because there's no weight in there, because there's no food bag in there. All right, so let's see what else. I'm just gonna leave all the laundry lines up. That's not gonna be that big of a deal. These upper beds, I think, are gonna be pretty protected. The wind's supposed to be coming mainly from, I think, this kind of quadrant, so there should be a lot of protection. So I think up here, what we'll probably end up doing is harvesting there's a pepper right here, a couple small peppers. We'll probably harvest anything that's close to ready to harvest, just so we bring it all in before it potentially gets destroyed. I'm thinking about adding a shade cloth over here, over this thing, for these tomatoes, but at the same time, I do kind of want to test out the how kind of windproof my little backyard is. So, and these tomatoes were more or less, I think they're still producing, but I think they're close to the end of their age. So, if they do get batted around a little bit, it'd be kind of interesting to see if they come back. So, that one's still up in the air in my mind. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do on that one. What I do think I want to protect is this bed down here, because I noticed that the zucchini here, which still haven't really produced anything, so I don't really know why I want to protect them so much, but the zucchini down here, they do get wind blown a lot, especially if the wind comes from kind of this quadrant over here in this kind of direction, comes through here. I think it bounces off the wall and creates kind of like a pattern that comes back, and then because usually it's blown that way, like they blow over towards the path over there, which I always find kind of weird. I figure they blow towards me. The wind's coming from over kind of in this region, because this is where all of our wind usually comes from, like over here to over here. So I was always confused by that, but my guess is the wind bounce. So I am thinking about adding another one of these tubes here, or the PVC pipe bent, just like the one here that I use for the melon trellis, and then covering that whole thing with a shade cloth or something, just to give this stuff a little bit of extra protection. At the same time, I do think it'll be quite protected from major winds coming this way from all the other stuff over there, because you can see I have that sugarcane. That's like a huge windbreak for me from any winds that are coming this way. The fence line's also a windbreak. This tree is a windbreak. So I have quite a nice little shelter protected area in this backyard, which is by design. So we'll kind of see where that ends up. I think that I probably will end up covering up this bed here, so maybe I'll just get that prepped really quick so it's ready if I do want to do it. All right, so this here, I basically have a post here that'll help kind of secure this part down. The ideal thing to do is to ram rebar into the ground and put this over the rebar. It gives it a little bit more support. But I don't have any rebar, so I'm just shoving it into the ground as best I can. And then I'm hoping that by putting a shade cloth over it, it'll add some structural integrity to it. I'm not gonna add that shade cloth right now. I'm actually gonna go take care of a couple other little things that need to get done before the storm, and then I'll probably end up adding that in like the final process later today. All right, next thing I'm gonna do is cut down a couple of these kind of lower palm fronds, because they're gonna act as a really good kind of mulching material for areas that I just wanna protect a little bit extra. So I'm going to cut a couple of those down, and then I'm also going to try to cut down a lot of the coconuts that are pretty much done, because if they do end up being windblown, then it's less of a chance that they'll cause any harm, and they're ready to be brought down anyway. Okay, that took longer than I wanted and took more effort than I wanted it to, but that's life. So yeah, down here I have two palm fronds acting as a little bit of a kind of mulchy barrier for all the excess rain we're probably going to end up having in this area that's disturbed by the chickens all the time, right below the pen when they come out. This area has always been kind of an issue here on this site, so I'm just wanting to protect it for this storm. This should do just enough to keep it from that like heavy intense rain. That'll be what I want. This palm is looking quite more bare now. and mainly because I took down I think 5 fronds, and the rest of these fronds I'm going to probably end up putting in within the coop here. So I'm going to add the tarp right back down on here to cover up all this compost, and then all the other parts that are exposed I'm probably going to throw the palm fronds down, just so that it protects this area, since I'm not going to have any sort of cover above it for the storm here. So nothing too crazy. Oh, I did want to mention that while I'm out here, after I cleaned up this bed the other day, I actually took cuttings from the sweet potato over there, a bunch of ones that already had roots on them, and I put them in the ground here, and most of them actually seem to be taking. So we'll have more sweet potato throughout this entire bed, so when that one's ready for harvest, we can harvest it, and then I already have new sweet potatoes growing. So just trying to plan in the future, since we're coming to the point where those sweet potatoes are almost ready for harvest, so I want to have another batch starting up, so in another 3-4 months we'll have another set ready. Here's this kitty being nice and relaxed. What you doing, bud? What you doing? All right, so my next task, I'm just gonna go down here into the ditch here and cut out anything that is a little bit overgrown, so it just has a nice clear water flow for all that excess water we're about to have. Up here, it's just fine. Water can flow nice and easy down here, but at the bottom there, it's a little bit overgrown, just because I haven't been in there managing it for some time. So I'm gonna hit that really quick. I think that's the end of the major preparations, at least. All right, so that's all cleaned up. Easy for water to flow now down to the base of the property along this little drainage ditch. And then once it reaches down there, it just kind of connects into another little bit of drainage. So yeah, I just took a little bit of the stuff that I cut and just put it up here just to clear it a little bit, but I don't really mind too much being just down at the bottom here, because it's just going to get washed away at some point. So that part doesn't bother me too much. And then up here, this is where the water will flow down. Not too worried about it hitting my jack there, and if it does, this thing's still attached, so it's not going to be that big of an issue. But this is the hurricane shelter I built for the chicks here, and we'll be basically getting that all ready for them today too. In fact, I'm going to throw some wood shavings down now, so I'm going to do next. Okay, so this is the third time I'm doing this because my phone keeps on deciding not to record. So I'm going to give you one last little update, hopefully. Hopefully this is the last one. Having a little bit of technical problems today, but that's okay. So we're now done all the hurricane prep. So in here, actually a little bit later, so you actually get to see a little bit more, which is kind of nice. So I piled up the compost into that pile, threw the tarp on top of it and weighed it down. And then on top of the entire chicken pen here, I added all these palm fronds that I cut down just to act as an extra mulch layer on top of all the mulch that's already in there, just to help protect the soil underneath there and keep all this area nice and free from erosion. That's kind of the goal here. That's especially true of the case right down here where you guys have seen multiple times. There's lots of just basically soil that's completely exposed here because they keep kicking down the compost from here down, and then it all ends up here, and then they scratch through this every time they're out, so it keeps on being a little bit of a nightmare down here. It's not really a nightmare. I'm being a little bit dramatic right now, but yeah. So heading on over here, chickens are all tucked away in their little home. See if we can see them at all. Here's a rooster at least. Everyone else is back there somewhere. There's one mama's over here. So these guys are in. We put them in early just because we had a couple pretty major downfalls already of rain and wind. So I just wanted to have everyone in just to know they're in here and safe, so we don't have to think about that so much the rest of the day. And yeah, I see the chickies are in there too. They're doing a dust bath. I don't think you guys will be able to see them, but maybe you can. I can't see them on the screen, but Yeah, they're just, a little bit of food, a little bit of water. I raise it up just on a little planting trail to try to keep all that sawdust or the wood chips out of there. But yeah, they'll be fine down here for a day. It's not their ideal, but clearly they're kind of getting used to it because they're just starting to do their dust bath and their regular thing. We're expecting, up to 10 inches of rain. It'll probably be more like, between 4 and 8 inches, but still quite a bit of rain. So we just want to make sure that we're all protected and ready. I did end up putting up this screening, and I basically just used 3/4 inch PVC tubes that were bent, and I just had a big old stash from over here, thanks to Gino over at Rossi Naturals, so thanks to you, Gino. And I just zip tied that all down. So this structure, it's not going to withstand major winds, but I can shake it pretty heavy and it's not going anywhere. It'll just provide a little protection from all that heavy rain from hitting the plants directly, and hopefully a little bit from a wind if there's any bit of wind, major wind. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of winds, maybe up to 40 miles an hour with higher gusts. So yeah, it's a lot of wind, but it's not like crazy amounts. And up here I also just did the same thing on this bed. I already had the framing up there and I just basically covered it and zip tied it. These are over the tomatoes. They are pretty delicate and don't love huge amounts of rain, so I just wanted to give them a little bit of protection. Really super easy, nothing major in here. Here's the coop area, the chicken run area from the top, and inside here we have Henry. Henry, wanna come say hi? So we just have a little bit of feed in here for Henry, and there's a water in there. There you are. Hey Henry. He has his own water in here, he got his own food, and this is his little home for the time being. This area should be just fine. I kind of built this to withstand hurricanes. I did all the things you're supposed to do to make sure that they'll be safe in a hurricane situation, or the coop will be. But we haven't tested it yet, but it's just a little bit easier than trying to join him with the other flock. They still haven't accepted him. So it's a little bit easier for me to just have them separate. And then if this ends up being an issue or we think there's going to be a problem over here, then I can come out and just move him, bring him inside, put him in a box or something like that. So, but for now he gets his own little pad up there, a little bachelor pad, or hopefully it's a bachelorette pad if we want Henry to be a girl. And yeah, up here nothing major done. This is all just the work from the other day, just the cleanup work. But luckily I kind of knowing that there was a storm coming, I made sure I added lots of mulch, etc. We did harvest today. Anything we do want to make sure that we're keeping, or make sure we want to harvest now before it all falls off or blows away. And you can see that this palm is way more open now. I took down all those fronds for the mulching, and I also cut down all the coconuts, but they're all just currently like underneath the tree right now. I didn't have the energy to move them. Did flip this pool up, so we'll collect water in that. Rainwater, just have a little extra water in case the water goes out, which we are expecting. Typically, if there's really heavy rain flows, they have to shut the water down because we take it from the river, Red and El Junque here. So when there's really heavy flows, they just can't actually process the water properly. And since this morning, when I checked the rain gauge, we actually already have almost 0.4 inches of rain, which is about almost 10 mil of rain, and that was just this morning. Between this morning and now is about 1 p.m. So yeah, we had already quite a bit of rain, quite a bit of heavy rain, lots of wind gusts already, just a couple of those little fronts that are approaching ahead of the storm. So we are prepared, we're ready, and we're going to see what happens. So wish us luck. It's still actually not named a tropical storm, so because there's no defined center yet of the storm. So we are still expecting the same conditions to be happening, but we don't expect it to be as bad as it would have been if it is completely organized and has a strong center. But we are expecting lots of rain and decently heavy winds. So wish us luck, and I'll vlog again once I can. Don't know if we'll lose power tomorrow or not, so we'll just kind of find out. So yeah, that's it for me today. If you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe. I really appreciate that. Share the videos, and yeah, please send your best wishes that we don't have too much of a crazy storm this time. We doubt it will be. We think it'll just be a fun little day in. So yeah, that's it for me, and until next time, have a good one.